From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Good evening and welcome. Tonight, the Nigerian Armed Forces begin military operations in areas of emergency rule, also mount surveillance in other border towns. The National Assembly is divided over emergency declaration by President Goodluck Jonathan. A controversial pension fund boss, Abdulrasheed Mainaz, sues the federal government over his sack and asks the courts to order his reinstatement. And Syrian rebels launch attack on Aleppo prison, prompting retaliation from government forces.
On business news tonight, Nigeria is to increase its external borrowing to offset part of the 6 trillion naira domestic debt.
On sports news, Chelsea duo of Mikel Obi and Victor Moses lead the Super Eagles 25-man squad for May 31st international friendly against Mexico in the United States.
We begin tonight with developments following President Goodluck Jonathan's declaration of a state of emergency on 3 states in northeast Nigeria. The Defense Headquarters says the Nigerian police and other security agencies have complied with the President's directive to rid the nation's borders of terrorists. The Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Chris Olukolade, said the operations will involve massive deployment of men and other resources to assert the nation's territorial integrity and enhance the security of constituted governmental structures. Furthermore, the operational plans include briefing participating troops on arrests and search operations directed at apprehending those violating sovereignty of Nigeria through terrorist training. The Defense Headquarters assures civilians the non-competence of their safety and urges them to cooperate with the troops by supplying necessary information on suspected criminal and terrorist activities. Of the number and deployment of the troops of the states affected by the state of emergency declaration by the President will be the exclusive preserve of the Defense Headquarters. This was confirmed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Dr. Donyo Okupe, in an exclusive interview with Channels Television. According to Dr. Okupe, the President's action in response to the insurgency in the affected states should also put other states of the Federation on alert at all times in case of further invasion by the terrorists. He also described the criticism of the President's decision by the Action Congress of Nigeria as regrettable.
Headquarters who definitely will oversee the deployment, and it will be based on various considerations, which they are, eminently very qualified to, to access. The declaration of state of emergency yesterday by Mr. President is a wake-up call. The level of alert, in various states of the north, and not just even in the north, in the entire country, has been raised to the fullest bar. So, people are not just going to, just because state of emergency has not been declared in your state, people are not just going to fold their hands. And I'm sure that, we are going to heighten intelligence, and the double efforts in those areas so as to also monitor movements, especially across the borders. I think there's a misunderstanding by ACN of what opposition really, should be. And it's really unfortunate, but I hope they will rethink, because they also went to the extent of actually trying to mobilize people and to mobilize the National Assembly to reject, the patriotic call made by Mr. President. I think sooner than later, Nigerian people will begin to know which political parties really have their interests at heart and which don't, which the others that do not. But what ACN has said today is shameful, is regrettable, and it's highly unbecoming of a party that hopes to rule in this country. Very unbecoming.
Of the Action Congress, the presidential spokesperson for public affairs, Dr. Donyo Okupe, is speaking on the President's declaration of a state of emergency. Well, the Action Congress of Nigeria has condemned the declaration in Adamawa, Borno and in Yobe states by the President as lacking any merit. It therefore advised the National Assembly to reject it. According to the party's National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Lai Mohammed, if the use of force was capable of ending the Boko Haram crisis, it would have ended a long time ago. It, however, commended the president for expressing outrage over the mindless killing and wanton destruction by the insurgents. Well, one of the governors of the states where emergency was declared, Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima, says President Goodluck Jonathan acted within his constitutional powers to declare a state of emergency. In his address to residents of the state, the governor said the president took the action to curtail violence. He also says it is the duty of any responsible state government to support lawful efforts that would guarantee the security of lives and property. And other opposition parties have criticized the declaration of a state of emergency in Borno, Yobe and Adamawa states by the federal government. They reject the emergency rule and insist that the use of force would not lead to peace in the troubled region. But a spokesperson for the president, Dr. Ruben Abati, argues that the situation demands such an action and that the amnesty offer still stands for any terrorist willing to accept it. Well, staying with that story, 24 hours after President Goodluck Jonathan declared a state of emergency in the three northern states, there have been mixed reactions, of course, now from the federal lawmakers on the president's action. As some describe the emergency rule declared in the states as a positive development, while for others, they say it does not make any difference.
Expectations were high that when federal lawmakers resume on Wednesday, they would address the burning issue of the emergency rule which President Goodluck Jonathan declared in Borno, Yobe and Adamawa states. However, this was not to be, as the Senate and the House of Representatives did not discuss the matter. However, this did not stop some lawmakers from expressing their opinions on the state of emergency. For some, it is a welcome development.
We may have issues with each other when it comes to politics, but in this particular matter, I think that all Nigerians need to rally together and we need to stamp out this evil, and we should do what we can to bring this under control. So I would like to support our troops. I would like to support all the security agencies who are putting their lives at risk to try to get this thing under control.
And the federal government has shown, for me, faith in doing what Nigerians ask them to do.
However, some lawmakers called for caution.
We hope that this is not going to be like adding salt to injuries. We hope that it's part of the extraordinary measures that government have to take in order to bring an end to this problem.
There is a need for our troops to conduct themselves professionally and also conduct themselves within the tenets of their rules of engagement.
If this thing will not happen, and if they can curtail and bring those people that are behind all these things to book, it will be a very good development to Nigeria, not only the northern states. But if there are other things that will suppress the masses to zero level again, then definitely the cry will be more than the killing now.
Senator Victor La is from Plateau State. He has first-hand experience of living in a state under emergency rule. He is not optimistic of the president's actions.
But with the benefit of the hindsight, particularly with regards to the experiences from Plateau State, the state declaration has not been effective, in the sense that even during the so-called declaration, we kept experiencing insurrections.
Section 305 of the Constitution says the President shall immediately after the publication transmit copies of the official gazette of the government of the Federation containing the proclamation, including the details of the emergency, to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The same section states that the letter should reach federal lawmakers